Learn the secrets of success. Exclusive insights and information from the experts. Tag Radio. Ready to let your mind go wherever technology leads? Then tag, you're it. Tag Radio. Here today. Imagine tomorrow. Professional liability insurance for information technology professionals and the IT middle market industry segment is high-performance claims-made coverage tailored to a marketplace that is global and dynamically fluid. Imagine the possible risks for software developers, computer consultants, website designers and programmers, even IT multimedia providers and integrated computer system designers. The damage to your IT company could be more than a lost piece of business. It could cost you everything. Greetings, everyone. It's October 23rd, 2007, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. In this edition, the Tech Talk shines a bright light on the risk in IT, errors, omissions, misstatements, or breaches of duty in the rendering of professional information technology services, copyright infringement, unauthorized access, or a computer virus from your work or that done by your employees. In a world of opportunity, the risks for IT pros are worldwide. With over a quarter century of insurance industry experience, Tino takes a close-up look into this overlooked problem with David Allred, Head of Development and Growth at Zurich, North America, for the Middle Market Technology segment. David oversees general liability in this segment for the leading commercial property casualty insurance provider and is considered by experts across the globe as one of this highly specialized technology industry sector leading innovators and professionals. David's deep understanding of the risk management needs for IT professionals began in '82 while at Chubb. Later at Kemper Insurance, he built that company's technology program to a top spot as one of only a few carriers in this fast-paced segment. Then on to Navigators Insurance, where he again developed that company's technology underwriting group. He joined Zurich in 2005, where he heads the middle market IT segment and provides services with a global network of subsidiaries and offices in North America, Europe, and the Asia Pacific. Got concerns on your IT liability? Listen as Tino speaks with Zurich exec David Allred on mitigating risk and how to protect your assets in today's global economy.
David, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk.
Thank you, Tino. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, let's just jump right in. Certainly the news has been full of companies, particularly in Asia, that have had serious challenges with toy recalls and specialty products, and that raises questions about and implications in terms of certain technology companies that produce overseas. Can you identify for us more specifically the types of companies that should be aware of the risks of a breakdown in their supply chains and what they can do to protect themselves?
Well, I'll try. The fact of the matter is most technology firms have some sort of operation or relationships overseas, which has been going on for years, and the Georgia firms are no different. Here at Zurich, where we look at the builders of technology products, whether they be electronics or IT or communications equipment and so on, they have the same world. Any firm that has buys parts as a supplier or contracts out operations overseas or, in fact, has customers overseas have exposures to this. The issue, the recall issue is really a symptom of this worldwide chain of commerce, if you will, and there are a lot of exposures that have to be taken care of with that, both from the professional liability and general liability, along with their property and business income coverages. And we like to think we've come up with a pretty good solution to that here at Zurich, but I know there's a lot of details that people want to understand about how all that works.
Well, we have TAG has a number of small and mid-sized companies, not as large as the big boys like Mattel and others that have been more prominent in the news. And does that, obviously the middle market has to be just as concerned with these issues, maybe more concerned just in terms of protection. Can you talk a little bit about that and in terms of how insurance may be able to help and support them?
Sure. What we've found is that actually from the very first moment, many companies come to life that they have worldwide exposures simply because the expertise to develop products and the supply chains are truly global. Technology led the world in becoming global, and we see that every day. So whether they're a small firm or a global corporate firm or a middle market firm, we find that most companies do have that. Our definition of middle market here at Zurich are firms that would generate annual premiums for all their lines of insurance between $75,000 to $3 million. We've got a pretty broad range, but different carriers do that. We work through independent agents and brokers to provide these services, but what we look at is a total package of not only insurance products, but as well as services. One of the things that we've found, and we believe working with customers to help them understand the exposures that they have and how to keep bad things from happening. Insurance is only good if bad things happen, and we want to work harder at preventing things from happening. So our risk engineering folks, and we actually bring claims people in advance to talk about things that could happen and how to prevent those losses. And we think that's important, especially for the smaller and mid-sized firms who may not have a very sophisticated risk management service. So that's kind of our world of how we approach the business, and we think it makes a lot of sense for these smaller and mid-sized firms to help them understand what the exposures could be and how to keep from stepping into a problem out there.
So if I'm a relatively new company, let's say, and have some opportunities and issues in respect to partnering with companies, production of toys or whatever it may be, what kinds of things should they be thinking about in respect to protection?
Well, the key coverages from protection standpoint is really twofold. One is to protect that chain of commerce, if you will, to make sure that the people overseas who are making product for them or who are performing work for them have adequately protected property, and that our customer here in the U.S. Can protect their income stream if something happens to that plant overseas. So it's a coverage called contingent business interruption. It's a coverage that says if your supplier's facility is damaged, while you may not have a property loss here in the U.S., you certainly have a financial loss, and we would want to help protect that. The other area is really through the risk management side, where we can work with these customers to help them better put in place protocols to manage the quality control chain where they don't have employees of their own, where they don't have direct control over a factory or a production site, to make sure that what they want to have happen in building a product is in fact what does happen at the end of the day. As the technology firms really can move almost at a 24/7 pace now with the communications network and the internet capabilities, it's critical that people think in advance of how to prevent things from happening rather than waiting for something to happen. And that's an area where we like to think here at Zurich we're ahead of the curve on that. So we have we have our employees all over the world, in North America, Europe, and in Asia Pacific, and in Latin America. So wherever these customers go, we can have our own risk engineers and our own claims people on hand to work with them and keep them out of trouble in the first place. And if something bad happens, we can help them get it fixed and get things moving again quickly.
Right. Now you're on the obviously the protection side of the business, and this next question may be beyond the scope, but let's give it a shot anyways. From a layman's standpoint, it seems like in the last year there has been a lot more focus on international and issues internationally, whether it be lead paint or production problems, and of course, that being coupled with more global outsourcing and activity overseas. So do you think this is the tip of the iceberg and there's going to be more of this coming down the pike in terms of, the U.S., let's say, watching products that come in more carefully and pushing back to some degree? And, so what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's a couple of ways it could go, depending on where products are imported or exported. There are a variety of regulations all over the world. The European Union, for instance, has some regulations that are much more tough than the U.S. has, and a better regulatory environment in some cases. Other parts of the world in Asia or South America don't have as much regulation. So it really is up to the insured, the customer, the builder, the ultimate builder of this technology, to know what those regulations are, but also to know what the right thing is to do, and what is safe and environmentally healthy and so on, so that they can prevent those from happening. And that's where partnering with a strong insurance carrier can help, a carrier that has strong international expertise, that knows the rules and the regulations all over the world, can help them understand what the pitfalls may be and what some of those rules could be to help them do it. It's hard to say, is it going to get better or worse? I'd say it's probably just going to continue with a different focus as the world moves on. This is not a new problem. I read a news article not too long ago about the bad rap that American exports had gotten in the late 1800s because we were kind of like China was at that time. No rules, push it out. The world evolves.
Right. Well, that's interesting. And probably on the one side, and you've touched on this, it is, it behooves any company that's doing business anywhere, whether it's domestic or overseas, to look beyond the low-cost option and make sure that they're not being penny wise and pound foolish in regard to things that could come up down in a later point in time. That could be much more costly, it sounds like, than an initial investment that looks like a cost savings.
Absolutely, and that really is a critical point. It's being able to look further down the road at what the implications may be of decisions today, and having all the right advisors and partnerships in place to really think through some of these issues.
And it sounds like you go beyond just providing the insurance, but you see yourself as a partner for all this kind of thing.
Absolutely. We think we have a kind of a unique view of the world and how we want to approach the marketplace, in that we want to do more than sell an insurance policy. That's a small part of what we do. It's really about how we can partner with our insureds to think through issues and to build not only a good insurance program, but really I like to think of a good risk management program, so that they can look at a variety of things that may or may not be actually covered by an insurance policy somewhere, but think about all the what-ifs that could come up in the world and how best to deal with those.
Well, most of our conversation has revolved around an American company that invests internationally in manufacturing, or whether it be that or even IT support of some other kind. What about our member companies, and we have many that work domestically in terms of manufacturing? What kind of things what issues should they be considering?
Well, for the domestic companies that only work domestically, a lot of the issues are the same in terms of how they protect their property, whether it be the information that they have, or whether it be their development of product line, their research and development, and so on. For instance, a lot of companies have some very specific proprietary information, and it's important that it not only be protected properly, but insured properly, that they have the appropriate security around that information, that it's stored in a safe manner and encrypted, and the key for many is proper duplication of all that information. Another key area really is the lifeline of the electronics industry and the IT industry, and that's that all these firms have pretty short product life cycles. If you think about the development of a new car model, it can take 4 or 5 years to develop and get out on the street. When you think about a software product or an electronic product, 6 to 9 months is a long life cycle. So they have to constantly keep that pipeline full of new ideas and improvements on their product. If anything happens to break that chain and they lose their research and development, it can put a company out of business. So we have a coverage for specifically that research and development information and prototypes that are built, along with the income coverage, the financial coverage, to redo that work quickly and get them back so that that pipeline stays full. And finally, our E&O coverage, which is kind of where we started with that, does not only good things domestically, but it's a true worldwide coverage so that we follow all the insurance regulations and legal rules all over the world. But E&O is a critical component for many of these firms in that it picks up for things that just don't work right. And much as I hate to malign people like our good friends at Microsoft, for instance, it's tough to say that you plug in the disk, you hit the button, and it works perfectly the first time out of the box.
So it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen, right? So the issue is that standard liability coverage won't cover that if it just doesn't work. And that's where errors and omissions comes in. For instance, some of the claims that I've seen in the past, there was an IT firm that I insured in the past that was doing a system upgrade for a large health insurer. Part of the upgrade involved security access so that this hospital's or this health insurer's customers could see their own information. Well, after the upgrade took place, they started getting calls from customers saying, not only can I see my health records, but I can also see a bunch of other people's in there. Is this right? Should this be happening? So that was a big, as we put it in a technical term, a big oops for the IT firm that had to be corrected, and they had a significant errors and omissions loss potential from that. That's the sort of things that we can help from an insurance standpoint to protect them if they have one of those oops situations where the things just don't work right.
Well, David, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk. I've been talking with David Allred, who's the Director of Middle Market Commercial Technology Initiatives for Zurich, North America. David, if people want to find out more information about Zurich or just insurance in general, do you have, I'm sure you have a website, how would you direct them?
Probably the couple of easiest things, they can send me an email at zurichtech@zurichna.com, or they can contact our Atlanta office, which would handle most of the area there, and our contact there would be Greg Krause, Krause, and he can be reached at area code 404-851-3200. And we would be happy to answer any questions that you might have and respond to any issues, and certainly be willing to work with people to help make their lives easier and protect their businesses.
Well, very good. Well, again, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk today.
Thank you, Tino.